Well, good morning everybody. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another day out in the landscape. Today I'm at Stockgill Falls, just outside Ambleside in the Lake District National Park. It's a place I've been to before, albeit quite a long time ago. And I just came for a bit of a mooch, to be perfectly honest with you. Just a womble, get some exercise. I'm actually traveling back home today, later on today. So it's just, just an opportunity to get out. And it suddenly occurred to me that this is a good location for a bit of a challenge. And the challenge is, I'm going to summarize it as the 5 shots challenge or the 5 images challenge. And the challenge is to replicate the same level of due diligence, attention to detail as I would have done when I shot with film. Because back in the day, film was expensive. Buying the film was expensive. Having it processed was expensive. If you wanted it scanned, it was expensive. So every time you pressed the shutter button to create a picture, you kind of had that going round in your head. And that meant you paid an awful lot of attention to what you were doing. And I'm going to try and replicate that level of attention by challenging myself to 5 presses of the shutter button to take a picture in the space of 1 hour. 5 and only 5, or a maximum of 5 maybe. But also 5 images that capture the essence of the place that I'm in. So not just 5 pictures for the sake of it, but 5 pictures with purpose. What's going to make this a little bit more of a challenge is creating a YouTube video, because as some of you who know me personally, those that have followed my channel, I am crushingly shy at talking to a video camera when there are other people around me. And this is quite a popular location, but let's get the show on the road. So I've got stopwatch, that is now running. Let the challenge begin. So I tell you what, I think I'm going to challenge myself even more and do the 5 presses about this big fall right here. And that's purely because it's compressing what I'm doing into a small area, but also because there's so much here. But I think also that's a danger. Sometimes I think we fall into the trap that there's so much going on that we just go snap, 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 snap. But then when we get home, we either create, tens of images of the same place that effectively say the same thing, as opposed to that one absolute banger that really encapsulates the atmosphere. So you can see from up there, I have the falls in the background, and then all these trees with various leaves turning, some still green in front of me. I'm using a small aperture, f2.8, focusing on a branch and some leaves relatively close to me, and then letting the falls drift out of focus. And there's enough detail there for you to be able to see the falls. And I'm using manual focus rather than autofocus. So that's shot number 1. I've used 15 minutes. Yikes. Right. Let's move on. Okay, I think we found image number 2. Similar principle, similar idea. Just going to get my tripod. Bit more closer, a bit more intimate. Maybe less confusing. Not sure. So I've got the same idea. I've got branches in front of the falls with some leaves on them. But this time I've got quite a strong tree on my right hand side, though I've no idea whether this is coming out in the video or not. But sort of this tree here, not the big one, that little one in the background, it leads in from right to left, and it creates a nice frame on the right hand side to lead the viewer into the image. And I heard this notion a long time ago that in England we are taught to read English from left to right. So anything that reads from left to right we do naturally, it feels comfortable. But if we are forced to read from right to left, that creates viewer engagement, even if the viewer doesn't necessarily realize it. And I think there's some truth to that as well. But I need to get a bit closer to the falls, so it's going to be a bit noisy. Can't remember how far forward I was. So we're going to level the camera off, position the tree on the far right hand side. And then what's quite cool is that the branches then drift from the tree over to the left. Again, I'm using an aperture of 2.8. I'm also using a polarizer. I didn't mention that with shot number 1. Just to take some of the glare off the leaves. So my nearest leaf is that one, so I just need to change my focus point to there. Focus on my nearest leaf, like so. Camera is level, so 1/30th of a second, f2.8. A third underexposed, just to hold the detail in the falls. 2-second timer. I'm just going to... Ooh, geez. Scare the hell out of me. God! I'm just reviewing the image in the back of the camera. Yes, I've blown some highlights out, but I'm just going to have to make do with that. Not much I can do about it. One thing I didn't realise is that there is a small breeze and it's blowing the branches ever so slightly. So the branches are moving. I didn't notice that before I pressed the shutter, so I can't do it again. So now I've done that and I've had the opportunity to get a bit closer to the falls. I've noticed that within the falling water itself, there's quite a few shapes and features and things like that. So I'm going to get closer still and see what we can make of that. Maybe shutter press number 3. Just going to do a quick time check. 28 minutes. So all of that was quite tricky to get into position, and tricky actually to decide on a frame size, 3x2, 1x1, whatever. I've gone for 1x1 because I found there are 3 vertical items, tree trunks I think they are, probably holding up the edges of the weir that's here, holding it up. So I've got 3 strong vertical objects and they mirror and echo the vertical lines in the water. Quite nicely they actually frame major pieces of movement and disturbance that I can see in the water. And also again I'm using a polarizer just to take a bit of the glare off the leaves. Shutter speed. What am I going to do with shutter speed? So I'm 1/80th of a second. I don't think that's fast enough. I want a little bit of a blur, but not too much. 80th of a second. Is that going to be too fast or too slow? I just don't know. 1/25th by underexposed by 2/3 of a stop. I might do that anyway, because on the previous image, some of the water movements were slightly overexposed. Branches in the way. So I'm going to underexpose by 2/3 of a stop. That'll speed the shutter speed up a wee bit. Hell, just going to go for it. Right. 2-second timer, 1/100th of a second. Maybe slightly too fast. That's the whole point of the exercise, isn't it? To force yourself to make some decisions. And whilst I've been stood here, mumbling to a camera, I think I've seen image number 4. Right, let's reposition. Right, let's just do a quick time check. We're on image number 4, and we are 41 minutes and 30 seconds in. 20 minutes to go, 2 images to go. I think this is a good example of the more time you spend in a place, the more you see, or I'm trying to think of a better way to describe it, the more you mentally absorb what's going on all around you, and then you notice elements in the landscape that talk to you about how you feel about the place. This woodland is full of leaves that are turning and leaves that are still green. Plus I've got the noise of the waterfall, and I can hear moving water down in front of me. So there's a scene right in front of me here that contains a mixture of brown and yellow and green, plus moving water. I've got blue sky up above, and that's reflected in the water. Now, when you draw or drew water as a child, you tended to draw it blue, didn't you? So the combination or the palette of colours is working. You know, green and yellow, and it's more of a golden brown than a brown, and then I've got blue in the mix as well. Having found a view that I was really, really happy with, I was checking through the viewfinder very, very carefully. And I'm glad I did, because I noticed a branch, it's actually just in front of me here, more like a twig, that was hanging down right in front of the scene. And no matter what I did, whether I focused on the branch with the background out or t'other way round, the branch was there, cutting across the scene. Moving across to the left loses nothing of that atmosphere, but it removes that distraction. I mean, if I was being brutally honest, I prefer this view, but I can't use it because I have a distraction that cuts through the frame. So I think I'm going to have to settle for that one. I'm just going to do a quick time check because I've burned an awful lot of time. I burned 10 minutes doing that, but it's a crucial 10 minutes, and 10 minutes well invested, because I'm far more likely to have an image that I'm going to keep. So let's take this very quickly before the battery conks out. And having taken and reviewed that image just to make sure that it's okay, I've noticed that this branch here, or this twig here, the wind has just blown it up ever so slightly, and it's in the frame, and there's a bright green leaf right on the very end. Anyway, I've got 10 minutes to do frame number 5, I think now, aren't we? We're on the 5th one. So the pressure is on to find image number 5. 54 minutes and 36 seconds. 55:28. And the battery in this thing's about to conk out. 57 minutes gone. 3 to go. Right. So, last 3 minutes. I can't get that notion of green and brown and yellow out of my head. So I'm going to work this one again. I know that means I have 2 images of the same scene, sort of, but I want to strengthen that notion as much as I possibly can. So I've moved to the left to try and get that twig out of frame. And I had to change the battery in the camera. Right, here we go. So zoom in. Now the problem I've got is the main colour is on the right, but I've got some really strong water movements here on the left. So change the frame size to the square. means I can concentrate on the colour. I can just about zoom in. So I twist the polarizer, that's got rid of that. Right, manual focus, manually focus. Okay, quick time check. 58:51. Decided the water movement on the left is a bit too strong. Takes the eye out of shot. I'm going to change the focus point to be up in the leaves. Manually focus on the leaves. Go. Image number 5. Phew. I have to say that was a lot more of a challenge than I thought it would be. And I really did feel pressure at the end in order to get the final image. So much so that I think I did rush the final image. But hey, there we go. So obviously right now I'm doing the outro to this video. So you will have seen the images, I won't have. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the challenge. Let me know what you would do to vary the challenge maybe. Because that would, that would give me something to have a crack at in the future. And also tell me what you think of the images. Which ones do you like, which ones do you don't like? I think the vast majority of you will say the last one is the weakest, but hey, we shall wait and see. But really has been quite interesting. I'm going to do the 5 shutter press challenge again, and again I think I'm going to do it in a location that I don't know very well. I mean, arguably, now I've said that out loud, maybe I ought to do it in a location that's very well known and very well known to me, and challenge myself not to go for the normal, everyday views. Who knows? Right, so I'm going to leave this one here. Hope you've enjoyed it. Sorry if it's gone on a little bit. If you're not a subscriber, do consider subscribing. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button alongside, and then select all, and you'll get notified as to when I upload new content, which will be every 2 weeks at 6 PM UK. And if you've liked the video, please do give it a like. Helps the content, helps the channel, helps to share what I do with more people. So I'm off to go and find something else. Until the next one, take care of yourselves, stay well, stay safe. See you again soon. Bye for now.